So there is basically a feminist civil war going on in Britain right now, and our entire political landscape is dominated by feminism. The Conservative Party is feminist, the Labour Party is feminist, the Lib Dems, the Greens, they're all feminist. Reform probably wouldn't claim to be feminist, but acts in feminist ways. And so we've got the entire landscape that is dominated by this one kind of political doctrine when it comes to the gender relations. And there is a massive schism going on in that doctrine over the definition of what is a woman. And somehow reality has prevailed against the ideology. Somehow the Supreme Court, which of course shouldn't exist but does, but anyway, let's carry on. Somehow they have unanimously landed on the side that, hang on, a woman is something biological about a human being, right? Being a woman does have a biological component, and it's that they have to be an adult, that they have to be a human, and they have to be a female, right? And so, okay, great. We have established the ruling. However, up until about 3 days ago now, it was basically the law of the land, the doctrine of the land, the most deep intersectional feminism was the reigning orthodoxy. And so now we have ridiculous titles, headlines like this from the BBC. Right? The Supreme Court ruling gives clarity, but now comes the difficult part. What difficult part? Supreme Court, a woman is an adult human female. And the BBC are like, God, well, this is going to be tough. Are you kidding me? What is tough about this? A victory for common sense or devastating, contrasting reactions to the same one? How far away from common sense do you have to be for this to be devastating to your position? If we define a woman as every culture since the dawn of time has, until about 20 minutes ago, had defined woman, then my position, Your Honour, is just devastated. I have no case. I can't believe you've adjudicated against me like this. Perhaps your position was just fucking preposterous. All right? Trying not to swear, but like perhaps your position was just preposterous. This is just... it's just so silly. It's just so silly. And the thing is, I'm going to take you through a brief sort of brief history of the conflict as rendered in vandalizing statues. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to laugh, but this is genuinely comical because you have the men in dresses who are convinced that they can be women, and the women in dresses who are convinced that they are not women. And the women in dresses would just like to be able to pee without being interrupted by the men in dresses. And the men in dresses are like, no, we're going to pee wherever we like. We're going to pee everywhere. In fact, this is going to be the main plank of our activism. The right to pee in your toilet. It's okay. I guess this is the difficult part. And it's really, really making them angry. Behind the different responses lie many of the often bitter and vitriolic arguments. Is there really an argument, though? Is there really... I'm thinking that this is why the Supreme Court, as progressive as it is, came down on the, well, obviously men in dresses shouldn't be allowed into the women's toilets. Like, it has to be that the men in dresses are not allowed into the women's toilets, right? That's just... But anyway, when the highest court in the land ruled that sex is binary, because literally it's male and female, meaning legally it should be interpreted as referring to either a biological man or a biological woman, it was providing clarity that was missing. But the judgment is intended to draw a line under that. However, it was Baroness Faulkner, the woman who heads the watchdog that regulates the equality laws. God, that's just everything about that sentence is just Norm Macdonald. Yeah, and I hope everyone in this gets abolished. Describe this as a victory of common sense. However, naturally, this has led to some very personal abuse from the men in dresses. It's like, sorry, what? Why are we indulging the men in dresses so much? Why are the institutions all on the side of the men in dresses and actually against the women who don't want the men in dresses peeing in their bathrooms? Like, how is this this is consuming the British media landscape and has done for like 3 days. It's preposterous, but that's why this is the third video I'm making about it, because it's just non-stop. It's constantly in my feed. It's constantly being pumped out by the BBC and various other newspapers. They love talking about this. This is an amazing thing to talk about because it's not fucking serious. Anyway, today we are feeling very alone. What does this mean? Can I use this, Luke? This is literally just, am I allowed to pee in the ladies? Were you born male? Yes, I was born male. Then no, you're not allowed to pee in the ladies. This is difficult to deal with. I don't know what we're going to do about this. I'm devastated. This is like a body blow. I'm sorry. This is so preposterous. It's so ridiculous. And it's not new. It's just really stupid. Women's groups argue that the ruling is important for reasons of privacy. Yes, obviously. Women's safety, dignity, and discrimination. Yeah, obviously. Like, again, oh my God. I hope future historians are watching this video and going, what was going on, man? Over time, the arguments over how a woman is defined had become increasingly angry, bitter, and divided. Because on one side, you had women who are like, we think that being a woman is to do with our biological reproductive facilities, and we think that being a man is not having those, and having the other kind that is designed to interface with our own, and because of the intimate nature of what nature itself designed us to do, we would like some privacy when we pee. And the men in dresses were like, not on our watch. Anyway, in 2005, we got the Gender Recognition Act, which allowed a trans person to apply for a gender recognition certificate, which recognized their preferred gender rather than their biological sex. So they could write on their passports or whatever, oh, I am really a woman. I am literally administratively a woman. Look at this piece of paper. This piece of paper says I'm a woman. So now I am not just a man in a dress. I am a woman in a dress. It's like, look, this creation of a legal fiction has just been totally undermined, by the way, by the Supreme Court's ruling that, well, a woman is someone who is biologically female, you very sane people, and you can keep your little gender recognition certificates, but actually you still can't pee in the women's bathrooms. Anyway, they carry on, and you can see why the BBC is so torn on this. They're like, God, we really want the men in dresses to piss in the women's toilets. We just really wish that was the case. But for some reason, the far-right Supreme Court has made sure that this can't happen. It's like, right, okay, great. That's a step forward for common sense. Anyway, so let's go back to 2019, where the campaign was starting to pick up momentum, because the women have been making this point for quite a while, that the dictionary definition of woman is just adult human female. And so they defaced a monument, or a series of monuments, by putting these t-shirts on them. Now, I wouldn't actually suggest that's actually what you would call defacing, but of course this is Pink News, so whatever. But basically, there was a TV host called Cilla Black in the 80s and 90s who was popular, and they have a statue of her in I think Liverpool, where she came from, and the women decided to put a t-shirt on her. Worthy of an article, as you can see. This is just atrocious, and there was a bunch of others as well, where any statues they could put a t-shirt on, they put t-shirts on statues. So, I mean, not really defacing as such. But anyway, local trans man Alex Jones I am completely convinced that this is not the Alex Jones you're thinking of. But anyway, local man in a dress says, quote, "This transphobic campaign has made its way to Newport. I'm absolutely heartbroken and so upset about this. Newport is a diverse city that won't stand for this sort of thing. Trans women are women regardless." Well, okay. Well, did the city did the city stand for this? No. Newport Council decided, yes, no, we are 100% with the men in dresses. Thanks for letting us know. We are also disturbed to see this and have asked colleagues to remove them as a matter of urgency. And then the council added, yes, no, the items, the offending items, the T-shirts on the statues have been removed. It's like, oh my God, just come on. And yeah, so these, obviously, the call was coming from within the house when it came to the feminist anti-trans campaigners, because I like the word feminist. Yeah, you're a real feminist if you think that feminism's about women and not men in dresses. Anyway, moving forward to today, there was a big protest at Parliament Square, and at Parliament Square there is Millicent Fawcett statue, who is a suffragist, but not a suffragette, and they actually made that mistake here. I'm not exactly sure what the distinction is, so I'm just going to call her a suffragette. But courage calls to courage everywhere is the famous phrase that they have on the statue, and I don't know, I'm not going to... Well, yeah, there we go. It's F rights, the three-letter word that in Britain we normally smoke, but of course they've decided that they are also referring to men, and that was painted on it. And trans rights are human rights sprayed on the pedestal bearing the memorial. So it's interesting how the civil war and feminism is being represented by the defacing of statues. One side did non-permanent, non-damage to the statue. The other one, well, they're not so bothered about it. So the men in dresses have decided, no, we don't care about women's rights, women's votes. And it's like, oh, really? That's interesting. But I love it. What a sad little life. It's like, sir, your primary concern in life is being able to pee in women's bathrooms. Like, sir, I don't think she's as sad as you think. And as someone who zoomed out and not in any way involved in any of this, I'm not a man in a dress, nor do I use the women's toilets. This is not my problem in any way, shape or form. And don't get me wrong, right? I understand completely, and I do support the women who are against this. Like, it's a totally valid thing for them to worry about, because for them, this is a question of personal safety. The men in dresses who wants to piss in their toilets, this is a very, very petty thing, and you should probably just knock it off, really. Anyway, so of course, they were there all day protesting.
One struggle, one fight, Palestine trans rights.
One thing that's weird, right, is that they're always saying, no, we're in solidarity with the Palestinians. But you never see the Palestinians coming out in solidarity for these guys, right? Isn't that interesting? I mean, being a man in a dress and a Palestinian is apparently the same thing, according to them. But the Palestinians don't seem to agree. They have lots of protests of their own. They're always protesting in London. But they never come out for the men in dresses, which is really weird. And I'm pretty sure that if you ask the Palestinians about the men in dresses, I mean, they're probably going to have a reasonably negative opinion about them, because actually they tend to have fairly rigidly defined gender roles. But anyway, let's hear a bit more of this. Actually, this is fun.
One struggle, one fight, Palestine trans rights. One struggle, one fight, Palestine trans rights. One struggle, one fight, Palestine trans rights. One struggle, one fight, Palestine trans rights.
I wish I could see the faces on the Hamas leadership. Because someone's going to send them this video and be like, oh, we have supporters in Britain. One struggle, one fight. Can you even imagine? There's already bombs going off in the distance. These are our supporters in the West. What do you do with that? Oh, great. I think the war might be lost, brother. I don't think support's coming. Anyway, there we go. This is the civil war and feminism and how the men in dresses have lost it seems.